All right, guys, it's Copper Cutlass, and we are out in the garage. I actually fired up the car yesterday. I also drove it to work today. So drove it to work. Even though I got like a 3-block drive to work, I actually went into town, like our downtown area, and did the whole loop thing. And one of the reasons why I wanted to drive it was because, again, there's been rear end noise in the car for better half of last season, and it's time to really nail it down and figure out what it is. So tonight, and I also drove it during lunch. I beat on it quite a bit. I very spiritedly drove it. As you can see, I got an air cleaner on there. I stole it from the Bonneville just so I would drive it without the tray. But I'm going to get this thing up on jack stands. I'm going to get some lights under there, pop the wheels off, and then we'll see what's going on in there. I have a feeling that the spool shifted again, and it's a problem that I had in the past. It's just become pretty bad now, and I'm starting to hear some noises that do not sound too good. I am also hearing a clicking noise, which I don't know if it's the rear end or the transmission, if like the sprag is letting go. But yeah, that I started hearing today. But I have a spare transmission, so either way, I looked into a spool and a gear and the bearings and all that stuff, and it's like $500. And I think if I see anything completely like out of the ordinary at all, I'm just going to go ahead and re-gear it and redo things. So I'll let you guys go. I'll show you what we got once I get down there. Alright guys, I gotta make this video short because dinner is done. So, I got the rear end apart, and let me tell you, it's always fun taking a crack at a rear end for the first time in a couple of years. The smell is kind of unique. I'm sure many of you know. You guys get the joke. So anyway, I got everything out. This rear end has got the big Ford bearing ends on it. Bearings seem fine, actually. The inside bearing on the carrier actually is a little rough. And when I popped out the spool, it came out a little too easy, if you ask me. It didn't, usually you need to be able to, could have sworn that, man, it took some force to pound those shims in there, but apparently not. Unless something is moving. But the spool is a little worn. When I put it into the axles, I'm getting a lot of back and forth movement and a lot of side to side. And I did a little bit of research, and some slop is okay. Some guys are getting quite a bit of movement. But just looking down into the splines of the carrier, or the spool, I should say, looking down into the splines of the spool, and they look a little dull compared to how sharp the axle splines look, and the axle splines look good. I just think maybe the spool material is a little softer than the axle material, and the axle material has just been withering away at the spool. This I don't know how long the spool has been in there, to be honest with you. JJ would probably be better at telling me that. This used to be his old rear end, but I think at this point we're going to be in the market for a new spool, a 456 gear. We're going to put this all back together. The outer bearings are pretty good. They feel good. So I think we're also going to go ahead and probably try to find some new backing plates because they keep shifting on me. And then, if you guys remember, going to the Wayback Machine, I fixed one of the wheel cylinders. It's still working, but I think it's time this time around to put fresh new wheel cylinders on this turd in the back. And we're going to call it good. So we're going to let this thing drip out. We're going to take the rear end out for the setup. I'm not going to do it in the car. It's a pain in the ass. But I just wanted to get it apart and look in there because I was driving it today. And obviously, there's a lot more grunt or load being put on the axle when you're turning and things move around, and you could really hear it, especially this morning when I was backing into my typical parking spot at the shop. Man, you could really, really feel it. And then, you know, driving it on the street, I was hearing like a clicking noise. It would, you know, and again, I don't necessarily know if that's the rear end or the transmission, because the click noise could have been the transmission could be hurt, and I've kind of talked about it before where I think it might actually be hurt. So I think it's time to put the other transmission in. We're going to do the rear end, and we're going to have this stuff fresh. I mean, that transmission's been ready to go for a while. And then at the same time, we'll be able to go through this transmission and see if anything's actually hurting it. But I was hearing like a constant click as we were driving, and there wasn't anything in the driveline that was clicking. And really, I haven't driven it since the last time we raced it. I haven't driven it on the street, so it was very consistent with the speed of the car, not engine RPM. And, you know, if I would have hit the brakes, it would change slightly, but my drums are still kind of moving around. And yeah, we got, you know, not the worst of problems, but we just have problems. We got stuff we got to take care of here. So, yep, we got to do new gear, new spool, which isn't too much money, and I think we'll probably end up getting a new torque converter to put in our fresh transmission and call it all brand new and good. So maybe the transmission was hurt, and maybe that's why our 60-foot times were down at the track last time. Who knows? You know, that might just possibly be the case. So, you know, that's something to ponder at, you know. But, you know, car drove good today. It did drive real good. But, yeah. So, just kind of a short video. When we do the setup, I'll make sure to make a video. But we'll let you guys go. Share, like, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram as Copper Colors, and we'll see you around.